the great guys here in Charlottesville. Judah Wickhauer is our director, my friend. We will get André Xavier here via Skype. Take care, Dave. Thank you, Dave. We are reaching out to André Xavier now. We do have André Xavier on the line. My friend, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Jerry. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm going to follow your lead. The show is yours. You have quite a few folks watching. To hear what I think is one of the most impactful love stories. I followed your commentary on the Cheering for Charlie Facebook group each day, usually in the evening. My wife and I read it together, and it is moving. But my friend, the show is yours.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell Charlie's story here. As a lot of people know, Charlie was involved in a horrific accident on September 10. That morning truly changed our lives forever. I still do not know the extension of the change, but I know that has changed. The life that we knew, where we were happy, God had blessed us a lot with business. We have 2 beautiful children. In a split of a second, that life was taken away. But, God is merciful, and He did spare Charlene's life. Her accident is so horrific that the first responders and the doctors truly were not sure that Charlie would make. When she first arrived in the hospital, she was giving less than 30% chance of survival, which at that time was probably one of the scariest thing I ever heard from anyone. Just the thought of possibly losing my wife and the mother for my children was just so terrifying that, for the first week of her stay at the hospital, that was the only thing, on my mind, because we did not know if she would survive or not. So just, to look back on those days was like really, really dark, scary times for me, my family. But at the same time, shortly after, something beautiful started to happen where her friends, Charlie was really involved in the local moms community. She was part of Moms Club and One Fit Mother. And those women, Jerry, I cannot tell you how amazing they are. They rallied together, and in less than 4 days, they had organized a meal train for her family. They had organized a cleaning person to come clean her house. They had organized help with childcare, with play dates. Every possible thing that our family needed was delivered. And I cannot tell you how humbling that experience has been to me. And you know me from before. I'm a businessman, so it was very hard to at first accept help. My pride got in the way. But gosh, I'm so thankful for those people for really, really making my family, myself feel loved and feel that people care. And when I experienced that, that feeling of feeling comforted, that feeling of feeling secure by the community, I cannot tell you how wonderful that is to feel that love. And at that moment, I told myself, and after speaking with Charlie, I told her that one of the main things in our lives that I know that has changed is giving back has taken front and center of our lives. Absolutely. To know that, in time of needs, to offer someone comfort and resources is so important. I want to make sure that at the time, when time is right, that we can provide that to people as well. I still do not know what direction we're going to go in terms of charity or foundation or burn survivors, whatever. But the point is, giving back, it will be our first priority. And Charlie has agreed with me on that. But it's to no surprise to me, because that's Charlie. She's always been a giving person. She always really took much more joy in giving than receiving. So I think for her, it's like, wow, finally arrived to my level. So I'm very humbled to be there now. But going back to Charlie, so yes, when she suffered the accident, she was working on our new brewery patch. She was sending a chalkboard frame for the kids area. She took a lot of pride in that aspect of the brewery. She wants to make it very family friendly and kid friendly. And I'm not going to details of the accident because it's still under investigation, but I can tell you that she was using an electric sander. She was sanding that frame. She lost her balance. She dropped the sander. There was an explosion. She was engulfed in flames. Miraculously, was able to walk out of that flames. She put up her own fire, which is incredible. She called me literally a second after the accident happened, and I just could not believe her words when she told me that she's been in an accident, she's been burned. She never lost conscious. She was awake the whole time, which is just incredible and unusual according to the doctors and firefighters. They just normally your body will go into shock because she did sustain third-degree burns on 85% of her body. The only place truly not burned was her face. She told me, in conversations that she has probably experienced the biggest amount of pain during the accident. She talked to me about her, near-death experience. She told me that she thought she was going to die. And just, the feelings that she went through and the fear and the sorrow, the sadness that she experienced at that moment, and she told me all she wanted was to be with the boys and with me. So that alone made me really sad, to know that she thought I was going to die, and I cannot even imagine how can someone, deal with that. But God was merciful, and she did not die, which is the miracle by itself. And she was airlifted to VCU, where she arrived, and she's receiving probably the best treatment possible in Virginia. Huge thank you to VCU Burn Unit. They're actually the only certified burn unit in the state of Virginia, so we're very thankful for them. The nurses and doctors there, they do absolutely the work of God. It's not easy, it's a very painful recovery. But Charlie, is pretty much beating all the odds right now. Today's day 33 of her accident, and she is getting ready to receive her new skin. So on Tuesday, she's receiving a special treatment. It's called CEA. So it's pretty much her own skin's been grown in the lab, and that skin will be her permanent, skin once she's healed. So that first application starts on Tuesday, and she will be probably having about 2.5 months of surgeries to be able to complete her entire body suit, as they're calling, because it's truly her entire body. And after that, maybe within a month of healing, she should be going to rehab. So just put in perspective, when she first arrived, the doctor told me that their last patient with more than 80% burn that survived was 8 years ago, and that person stayed in the ICU for a whole year before they were discharged. So the fact that Charlie were contemplating a 5-6 month stay is just incredible, and I cannot, credit anything but God and the prayers and the positive thoughts that we've been receiving. It's just been so incredibly humbling. But I think the most important part of this whole thing here is just to showcase how out of tragedy, out of horrific accident, so much good can come out of it. The amount of people that have donated to the GoFundMe, the thousands and thousands of people, the amount of people that have reached out to us, to this group, like over 4,000 people gather every night to read my journals about Charlie. And truly, if you ask folks, is the strength, the desire to live, the love, and the faith is what this story is all about. The accident itself is such a small part of it, but it is what made the change. But I think now is incredible, and just so gratifying to see how much love and light has come out of this darkness, right? Because truly, I was in darkness when the accident happened for the first week. I just did not know if I would have a wife, if my kids would have a mother. But now I do know that, and she's coming home. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful feeling to be where I am right now compared to 30 days ago. It's just incredible.
You have a lot of comments coming in. And folks that are watching the program, if you'd like to leave positive commentary and prayers and uplifting messages for André, who then can relay these messages to Charlie, please put them in the feed. You just have to leave them in the comment section on any social media platform you're watching upon. I will read a few of them now. This is from Jen. I think it's Jen Height. I am praying daily for Charlie and your whole family. From South Bend, Indiana. Roseanne Callahan. God bless Charlie and her amazing family. Becky Reed. Sending love and prayers to you and your family. This is from Laura. Laura is watching outside Los Angeles. Your story has captivated us. We read your journals each evening. We contributed to the GoFundMe. Please know we're praying for her, and her strength is something that is motivating our family as well. When you hear from so many people across the world about your wife, how does that make you feel?
First, surprise that her story has reached so far in such a short period of time, but at the same time, it's so comforting and makes us so grateful to know that the positive impact is already being felt. To see people from far away, as you mentioned, from all over this country and some other countries as well, to reach out to say, hey, that story has inspired me. That story has absolutely made me want to do better and do good and appreciate my family more. Because truly, I think that is one thing that has alerted me too, is like how much we take things for granted. Like to know that to have your loved ones with you is such a gift, is a blessing. And also to know that nothing truly is guaranteed, right? We don't know the day of tomorrow. We just have to be so grateful and so kind to each other, because there's no way to know what's coming next. So that is being a very humbling experience to know that, tragedy has struck our family, but we're not going to be defined by the tragedy, right? We're going to turn that into a positive, and we are going to bring the message of love and hope as far as we can. And of course, not, taking away from Charlie's journey, because she has a much painful journey ahead of her. The surgeries are not painful enough. Rehab itself will be even more painful, because once you get your new skin, there's no flexibility on that skin, so you'll be literally ripping your skin as you try to walk and learn to move again. So it's an incredible painful road ahead of her, and it breaks my heart to know that she has to go through that pain. But also I do know how strong she is and how much faith she has and how much desire to leave and to be back at home with our boys she has, and that will carry her through.
Janice Boyce Trevelyan has this message, and I will read your messages, as many as I can, to Andre. Janice says, I read Andre's Facebook page every night. I'm so grateful for her recovery. His words are a love story and such a tribute to their love and their lives together. That's the same thing my wife and I do. We noticed with your journal entries how the range of emotions you've gone through. In the beginning of your journal entries, it seemed to be one of grief, uncertainty, feelings of despair, and certainly vulnerability, concerns for your boys. And then as the journal entries progressed, and it was tied to her positive progress, the entries became ones of hope. Put that in perspective.
Absolutely, Jared. No, you're absolutely right. The first week, it just, I cannot even describe really into words what went through my mind. Just the fear. I think fear is probably the main feeling I could describe that took over me. And the fear is such a negative, feeling to have, because you're so scared. You're range from the unknown to being angry, but angry never really was a feeling to me, I'd say, but it was more like the fear, this being scared of what would happen to Charlie, right? The sorrow of fearing that she would not be alive to see our boys growing up. The sorrow to know that her life has changed forever. What she did before, she may not be able to do it in the future. in terms of her, activities and just being the such a lively, happy person. So that it was so incredible, painful, and just super hard to even put into words. And writing does help me a lot to put my feelings into words, because it helped me to process that. And later I find out that actually expressive writing, it is a form of therapy that I did not know when I started doing, but it is. And then you're right, as the progression happens in terms of Charlie's health, we went from, oh my gosh, she may not make it, to, okay, she's stable enough now, she's progressing okay on the surgeries, she's able to maintain her heart rate, she's able to, maintain her blood pressure. It's very basic things that were, not available before, now is becoming a reality. And to the point now that we're literally talking about when she may be coming home. And the crazy part is, it's been 33 days. In a way, a week ago, it seemed like if you told me 30 days would be an eternity of time. And now looking back, it's like, it's nothing. Time went by so fast. So it truly shows you that once you are in darkness and, sadness, misery, time doesn't go by. But the moment you change your heart and you are grateful and you have gratitude in your heart, fast, right? It lightens the load. But of course, it's not easy. I think faith, and it's a huge part of it, to believe in God and to have that, supernatural belief and help. It truly helps you to overcome any challenge. And then talking about my experience, right? So I still don't know much what Charlie is feeling inside, because she's been able to talk, but her talk is through lip reading. So my ability to read her lips are not that great. So I'm able to understand, say, 40% of what she's saying, but it cannot until she can talk and, really express what is in her mind.
André Xavier is our guest. We'll get to some more of these comments that are coming in. This is from Stephanie. Is it Bastuis? Stephanie, she says, I'm sending good vibes all the way from Germany. We are praying for you guys. Roseanne Callahan, you are so right. Your story and family is so inspiring. God bless Charlie. Kelsey DeHart Mayo Ross, amen to that, Andre. Andre, where do you find, where's your strength? Your strength is amazing. You're a God-fearing person. I'm sure this has brought you closer to God and to the Lord than ever before. Your strength is amazing.
Oh, Jerry, trust me, the strength that people perceive it's not mine. It's like, truly, it's God's giving me the strength to do it. There's no other way. Humanly speaking, it's just so hard to wake up every morning. It's so hard to, talk about it. But once you add faith to it and just love towards Charlie, just you get that strength, right? But also in life, when tragedy or something really negative happens, you have two choices, right? It's a binary choice. You can lay down, be depressed and cry and give up hope, or you can stand up and go and find the positive into everything that there is around you, because there's so many positives, even about the accident, where it happened, how close we were to the firehouse, how close the firehouse was to the airport, how quick she was airlifted. Every single second count. And God almost like paved the way for her to be rescued from her accident, that, it's almost humanly impossible to explain how well things went when, you have such a horrific tragedy that happened. But yes, it is a binary option, but again, you do need to have faith. You do need to believe in God. Otherwise, you cannot do it on your own. And you have to accept help. You have to. The amount of support that we've been receiving is just beyond words. It's just, without it, we could not be where we are today. So I'm so forever grateful about that.
I'm getting emotional because I know how much, she's your best friend, she's your soulmate. I'm thinking about my wife and I and our son, your boys. What are your boys asking? Have your boys been able to see her? I mean, just put that in perspective, your two boys.
Sure. So that's, I think, the biggest heartache for Charlie is being away from the boys, right? So now they cannot come to the hospital. There is not a possibility they can. The ICU is just too traumatic, too dangerous in terms of infection. They're under 12, so they cannot come. So that is super hard. We've been trying. We have been done a couple video calls with mommy and the kids. She really appreciates that. We have two kids. London is 4, and then Julian is 9 months. So of course, Julian being a baby, he doesn't know anything, but I can tell that he probably miss her the most because one day mommy was there, and next day she's gone. So super hard. But London, he is super smart kid. He's really smart. About a week in the accident, the child psychologist from the hospital talked to me and gave me some pointers on how to talk to him. And I did explain to him that, mommy had been had a big boo-boo. Mommy was at the doctor, and it'll be a while until she'll come home. But she'll come home and she'll be okay. And that was it. And then he hasn't been asking about her. He hasn't been, But I think also we're doing everything with the help of the other moms to keep him occupied and keep him normal, going back to school, doing all kinds of activities. So that is definitely being a huge, huge blessing. The community has been incredible to help me with that. Tons of support and donations about the activities for the kids. Anyways, so to provide that stable environment is huge. And I talked to the psychologist, hey, my son's not asking about mom. Is everything okay? And she said, actually, yes. I'll be concerned if he was crying for mommy, but that means that he's stable. That means you're providing, you're fulfilling his needs. So I asked London yesterday, actually, London, out of curiosity, do you mind if I ask you why you're not asking about mommy? Do you miss her? I say, no, I miss her a lot. However, and he told me, but you told me that mommy is at the doctor's and it'll be a while, so I know where she's at, so why should I ask? I was like, what, you're right. She'll be okay. She'll come home and she's at the hospital. So, it is hard. But also I do know that, we don't know yet how much help we need psychologically because trauma is still happening, it's fresh. I'm not naive to think that we're not going to, be traumatized, but we're just not thinking about that right now. We're just trying to remain positive and bring Charlie home. That's all that matters.
Wendy Guest has left this comment on the Cheering on Charlie Facebook group, sending so much love to you all. Roseanne says, faith gives us the strength. Andre's faith is unwavering. You have 6 countries and 14 states on this show here watching you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Charlie, her whole life was family, was you and your 2 boys. Can you put into perspective, I don't want to assume, that's why I'm asking, being away from her 2 boys and how difficult this is for her?
I could not even begin to understand, right? I mean, that is a question only a mom could answer because the heartbreak to be away, and that's one thing she always asks every single time. First thing she asks me, how are the boys? How are they? And, we're sending her pictures and videos of the kids daily. She gets through her phone, so the nurses show her every day, and that is like fuel to her. Like she absolutely craves that image and to see the boys, but I cannot even begin to understand how painful for a mother is to be away from your kids. It's just I can't even have a word for it. I just don't know how to describe that, but it must be, and I know for her it is the biggest pain besides the physical pain. That emotional and pain from to be away from the boys is just unbearable.
We read your journals closely, and I remember one of your journals was putting into perspective how the love you felt for Charlie has evolved.
Yes.
Can you offer some insight into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Being married, you're married, so when you marry someone, we make our vows, right? We always say it's for happiness and sadness, the better or worse, and truly, a lot of times we don't even think about it, but boy, those words are so powerful, right? So when tragedy happens, I don't even know if there's even another option besides, you want to rally around your loved one, you want to support them, you want to make sure they're okay, you want to advocate for them, you want to be there for them. And at that moment, right, your relationship as a couple no longer exists because the person is on a bed at hospital dying. But what that love becomes truly becomes selfless love, right? Because you're there to serve, you're there to make sure that she can get better. And once you mix love with, faith, you get to a much deeper level in terms of a relationship, because now you're kind of going to a more like soulmate divine level of love. And that type of love can sustain and overcome any kind of pain, any kind of difficult, any kind of disruption. That love will be there forever. So just the ability to experience that transformation in love is such a gift. It's beautiful, it's real, and it's just it's transformative. Like, it definitely puts things in a completely different level in terms of a relationship, just because now you're no longer talking about a human relationship. You talk more on a spiritual level where you are two connected, for eternity. There's no other way to describe.
Christelle is watching, the director of catering at CNO, and she has a message for you. We have been praying for Charlie and the family every night. So much support and love from your frienders. She's meeting the wedding and event and hospitality space from Christelle.
Thank you.
I'll throw this to you. Andre, when you asked for in your journal entries, messages of support and positivity for Charlie via cards mailed to VCU, even you knew how incredible this story was with your journal, but I don't think even you anticipated this outpouring of support for cards that have blanketed her room, all the walls. And I remember reading that are now even like outside in the hallway, right?
Yeah, actually, no, we stay within the room because of infection, or nothing can go outside because dust. But actually, yesterday I had to take down the cards because we're moving to a new room. Anyways, but yes, I think that is absolutely incredible. Like, because it's one thing for people to be on social media, it's easy to type things on the keyboard. But once you now get outside of the virtual world into the real world and actually handwriting a card, putting on the mail is so powerful and so incredible. Actually, if you don't mind, I want to read one of the cards that I read to Charlie yesterday that was incredible. So this lady, it's a little card. I'm going to show you the picture of the card, but that's what it looks like, so it's adorable. She said, "Charlie, I hope this card reaches you on a good day. You are an inspiration to me. I live in northern Utah, 20 minutes from the Utah-Idaho border. I live in a town of 700 and 25 minutes away from the closest store and an hour and a half away from the post office. My cousin shared your story on Facebook with me, and now I check in each night, and I am amazed by your selfless love. Worrying about others when you are in so much pain yourself. You are an inspiration to me. You can do hard things, and so can I. I just need to be more like you and not whine about it. Keep up the hard work. You're a miracle, and you will continue to do amazing things. Love, Sasha." Now tell me how someone in Idaho, in a small town, 700 people, can be touched by Charlie's story and drive an hour and a half, whatever, away to post a card. It's just so humbling and so inspiring. Sasha, you think Charlie's an inspiration? Yes, she is, but you're also an inspiration, because just to know how much it meant for people when you reach out, just to be there for people when they need, is so important that I don't think everyone realizes how powerful that can be.
Andre.
So yes, the cards are just incredible, and they're still coming. I think I have received a little over 700 right now. I think they'll be coming, which is just humbling, so incredible. So thank you so much for that. Charlie loves them. She really does.
More messages of positivity. This is from Katie Pearl. My heart breaks for the Xavier family. Their beautiful faith and positive attitude are such examples to us all. Nicholas Erpe, Andre and Charlie have love and support from the Erpe family. Prayers to all. You folks watching in Alaska, in Germany, in England, in Brazil. You have folks watching in Florida and in New Hampshire, in California, folks watching here in Central Virginia. Andre, put into perspective for all of us that are watching the challenges that Charlie faces ahead and the financial hurdles that are on the horizon from a medical bill standpoint.
Right. So, as of today, Charlie hospital bill right now is at $3.1 million. It is a astonishing number. When she first arrived, I asked, the hospital, give me an estimate what we can expect, and they told me we should expect an over $8 million bill once it's all settled down. Of course, we do have insurance, but our insurance right now, Works Comp is doing an investigation. They're doing a forensic investigation. So as of now, I don't know if the insurance is going to cover that. I don't know, which is a very scary thought. So I try sometimes not to even think about, because that's not a priority right now, right? But it eventually could be. So that uncertainty in terms of insurance is why the GoFundMe is so important, because we may need that money. I don't know. But one thing I can assure you, that if God helps us and the insurance does accept the claim, then that money will be donated to a very worthy charity that Charlie will be selecting. So I can rest assured that that money will not go to waste and will not benefit anyone in the wrong way. So I appreciate all your donations there. So yes, because Charlie's treatment, is the only treatment to save her life. Epicel alone, the skin, 1% of coverage, it costs about $13,000. Charlie has 85%. So you do the number, right? So $1.150 million just for that lab skin. It's incredible. But we're very thankful for that. Otherwise, she would not be alive. The rehab will be extensively. There's a lot of unknowns. We don't know if she'll be able to walk. We don't know how much she'll have limitations in terms about her mobility. We just don't know. We're hoping that won't be much, because Charlie right now is showing incredible progress in terms of her motions, but that will change once the skin is applied. She has a lifetime commitment. Mostly burn victims, they experience between 15 to 20 years of surgeries that they have to go through, because your skin will contract and you're going to have it's a very thin skin. You have cuts, and you have to. So it's always, she'll be going to the doctor for a long, long, long time. So all that is in the near future now, but it's still unknown. We just don't know how much limitations she'll have. So all that will require major change to our home. We don't even know if I can still remain on my house, because we have 3 levels now. So I don't know if she'll be able to. We have to put a lift, or I don't know. I just don't know. It's just so much that I'm choosing right now to not be focusing on that, because that is a lot to even fathom what's going to happen. And then, of course, I have to worry about childcare, because Charlie won't be able to take care of the boys initially, and God knows for how long. So it's just a lot to think about the future. It is great to bring her home, but also it will require a lot of change.
André Xavier, our guest. Kylie Forehand is watching from Sylvania, Georgia. Nina Palomero watching the program. Mona has this comment. We're praying every day for Charlie, and you are just amazing for your love and devotion that you have shown to all of us for Charlie. Your journals are just so emotional, and we are glad you are sharing them these days for the day-to-day improvement on her condition. We're praying every day for her. What gave you the inspiration to journal? And if you guys want to see one of the most special love stories I have ever seen, I would very much encourage you to join the Cheering on Charlie Facebook group? Cheering on Charlie Facebook group. What gave you the inspiration to journal, Andre?
So on the second day after the accident, I got a call from a good friend of mine. They're friends of Charlie, and now they're friends, and they also experienced tragedy. They lost a daughter of theirs, so they know how much pain one can go through. So he told me that, hey, I don't know if you like to write, because I don't write. I'm not good at it. And he said, but for me, it was very helpful and therapeutical to write updates about our daughter when she was in the hospital and all that to her friends and family. And I highly suggest that it can help you a lot. I was like, okay, whatever. So by day 4 or 5, the original Facebook group was created, and people were just talking, asking for things, and I'll be getting literally 20, 30 texts every day asking, and I was like, I just can't keep up with all that. So I was like, you know what, let me do just like a summary every night of my day with Charlie, and then we'll start from there. So start the group. We had, I think at the time, like 30, 40 people in the group. The group grew to like 250, and then they're like, oh, there's a lot of people asking, let's move to a public page, and we did. And since then, the numbers are just growing every day. It's like incredible, humbling to see how many people are genuinely interested in learning about what's going on with Charlie. So yeah, we're now, I think, over 4,000 people and counting. Just, incredible to think about. And writing has become like escape for me in terms of my feelings. I'm able to really put in, and if you actually pay attention to the journals from day 1 too, they became more eloquent and they became longer in a way. So definitely, anything life by practicing you get better at. So it's easier now to write than it was before, I would say. And of course, it has changed. I think the first initial weeks are much more emotional charged, because truly that was my state of mind, that was my feelings, and now it's a much more light, positive post. But that just show the trajectory of where we started and where we're going to. So, and I'm sure there'll be more difficult moments ahead of us. We just, we're trying to remain positive.
André Xavier, guys, is our guest. Any comments you want to add? Any questions? You can put them in the feed. I even noticed with the start of the journals, you start the journals, the first line has changed of the start of your journals. Right. And the first week, and I'm scrolling down to the group here so I can read it verbatim. And I think, the first few days of this, your journal entries were, and put it in perspective. Now it's your new and amazing life is how you start the journals. When you initially had started, it was a different starting point for these.
Right, yeah. I say that is our new life. That was our new life before, right? Because I did not know what was in store. I truly did not know if Charlie would survive. I did not know what would be of this new life. And now that she is alive and that she's coming home, it is an amazing life. No matter what, it is amazing because Charlie's here with us, right? So just that alone is just show gratitude, it's just being grateful for, because the life we knew before is gone. I know for a fact, we love to travel. I know I won't be able to travel for the next 2 or 3 years. Doctor already told me that won't be possible, right? Because of the care. All those things are no longer even important, but they're gone. And of course we miss those. But now just to see, what is the purpose of Charlie's, story, meaning why, not why, I don't question God, why at all, but it's like, in my mind, I'm thinking, what is the purpose that God wants us to have by sparing her life? Give her a second chance. What does he want us to do? Because why, otherwise, what is the purpose of all this? Why she has to go through so much pain and suffering and sorrow if there's not a bigger reason for that? There's just, I cannot justify any other way, right? So I just see that. But yeah, so the journal changed because we changed, and it's a great thing because it's a daily journal, so it truly, you can see day by day the work of God. There's no other way. You can see that how he allows me to be in despair, he allowed me to be scared and be frightened, and he also lift me up, and it was just a progressive thing. So once you have faith and you trust that God will help you, amazing things can happen. Truly.
Amy is watching. Is it Amy Palomiri? She says, I'm watching from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thank you for sharing so openly and giving us the opportunity to lift you up as you all move through this difficult journey. You two continue to amaze me. If you'd like to offer Andre some positive encouragement that he can pass along to Charlie, please share it in the comment section of any Facebook page you're watching upon, and I will try to get to as many as possible. The outpouring of support from the community on behalf of Charlie. We all knew Charlie was so adored. Charlie, anytime you would see her, huge smile on her face, this positive, contagious energy where you want to be a part of her orbit and around her. You've shared stories about how she's willing to give the shirt off her back. Another mom, and I'm going to paraphrase here, another mom shared this story in the Cheering On for Charlie Facebook group about how her son was at the playground and got hurt. And the mom was almost paralyzed because her child was hurt. And immediately Charlie sprung into action to help this mom out. I don't know, I'm getting emotional here because, I know you, I think about my family. Just put in perspective, if you could, this support that you're receiving, that Charlie is receiving from this community that just shows how well loved she is.
Gosh, you're right. There's so many instances that Charlie, is always there. And a lot of times people think about, when you say someone that, a person was such a good person, they're generous, and you think about a more traditional way of generosity of, feeding the homeless or helping a church, which is amazing. But Charlie kind of work was a very different kind work because she was a friend. She was your neighbor who was there for you when you needed. She was the one who would help with your children. She was the one who would make you feel special when you needed to be special. She was the one who would cheer you up when you're sad. She was the first one to be there with a meal when something bad happened at a funeral or something good happened at a baby. She would be always there for someone. And she always told me, and I never understood before, she always told me, I take more joy in giving than receiving. I never understood that before, never. Now I absolutely understand, and I regret not understanding before, but it's the past. But I do understand that, so the fact that she touched so many other people in this town, especially her mom friends, and talking about hundreds and hundreds of people that she came across at one point in their lives or another. And a lot of times in one interaction with Charlie, they remember her. So a lot of times she became their best friend. So you're right, Charlie's positivity and Charlie's kindness and desire to help was always being her trademark. And let's not forget that she was always in pain. Charlie has rheumatoid arthritis, so pain for her it's something that she's been with since she was diagnosed at 17 months old. So she knows pain, which again breaks my heart because now she's even experienced probably the most excruciating pain a human can feel, being burned. But also that explains why she requires so little pain meds, because she rather have clarity of mind than to be overdosed in opioids. She does not want to have strong pain medication because that's Charlie. She does not want to be clouded in her mind, so she wants to be aware and awake. And that's the other thing to mention, that the standard care for burn victims of over 60% and up is they'll put you in a coma-induced state for the first 3 months. Charlie hasn't been sleeping at all in terms of sedation. She does not. She hates being sedated. So she was intubated for a week, and then they changed her tube to her trachea, and she's now being off the ventilator for the last 5-6 days. So it's just incredible the progress she's making, that the doctors are truly having to learn how to deal with a patient like her because they never had to deal. By this point, everybody's still sleeping, so there's no concern of their psychological care because they're sleeping, but Charlie has never been gone to sleep, so she's awake. She's incredible.
We're sharing the GoFundMe link on screen, and we've had it on screen throughout the interview. If you could contribute to the GoFundMe, to share the GoFundMe as far and wide as humanly possible so we can support this family. They certainly have a challenging road ahead, and we all know with medical bills how quickly that they can pile up. So that's why this GoFundMe link is on screen. Dale Norton has this comment for you. I look forward to reading your journal every day. She is blessed and she is an inspiration to everyone. So brave and courageous. Andre, you are so special to stand by her and be the soulmate you are being. Praying without seeing Charlie and for all of you. Thank God for technology. You read this, you wrote a journal entry that really, hit close for me, where you were next to her in bed, you were combing her hair, and her hair was tangled. Yeah. And the imagery from your entry was so vivid. For someone who does not like to write, you're fantastic at it. And I felt I was in the room watching. Can you relay to everybody that entry and that point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. So that probably happened 2 weeks ago, roughly, or a week and a half ago, where Charlie, some days I go there and Charlie's more tired than the others, so just to give her some comfort, just, rubbing her hair or just, caressing her forehead is just so warm for her. But the weird thing is I'm wearing gloves right when I'm doing that, so it's just almost, she hasn't felt my skin, just truly through rubber. So it's weird to think about that, but just those small acts of kindness are so comforting to her. It's incredible to think about that, like brushing her teeth the other day. That was such a highlight for her, to be able to brush her teeth. But it also shows, how life can change. One day she's up and running, doing everything. Next day she's in bed, unable to do those things. So, I'm having to do, but it's not that I'm having to do, I'm happy to do it. But it's just, if we really stop to think about it, it's like, it's sad in a way, right? That we have to do that for her. But just the kindness that nurses have towards their patients, so incredible. Talking about that, when they wash her hair, it was like day 28. She was the first time she felt water on her scalp, right? She hasn't been able to feel water in her body for over a month now. So that moment I could tell how relaxed and how good she felt, how dignifying it was to have that warm water running through her head. And just, the act of kindness that it is, because it's not their job, a nurse, to wash someone's hair, their job is to give medication, but just that kindness just goes so far away. It's just so beautiful to see that, truly it is the most magical moments are those. Like, they're very intimate moments. And I'm glad just to hear that you actually, through my words, are able to picture, because that was exactly what I was trying to do, is like, how can I describe those moments the way I'm seeing it, right? And it is, it is a cold, it's ICU rooms, they are like noisy, there's a lot of beeping, there's incredible machines, it's like, it's overwhelming to a degree, and to find that quiet, peaceful moment that where it's just the two of you, nothing else matters. It's just, it's like magic.
Andre, I know you have a drive to VCU.
Yes.
Right after this interview, I want to close with anywhere, the show's yours. You have states and countries in this community watching. Jane Hale has a good question. Will this interview be available in shareable form somewhere else so we can share with those who couldn't be here live today? Prayers and positive thoughts to the whole Xavier family. This interview is airing all over Facebook. It's on André Xavier's personal Facebook page. If you're looking for a link to share this to family members all over the world and the country. We will archive the interview on ilovecville.com, ilovecville.com. We will include the GoFundMe link within the interview. Please share it far and wide, especially to those that are not on Facebook. My friend, the show is yours.
Thank you. No, I just want to really, really say thank you to everyone who has prayed, donated, helped us. I'm forever grateful for that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I mentioned that giving back is one of our main mission moving forward. So the first thing I want to thank the first responders who helped Charlie. So I've been working with Chef Craig Hartman from Barbecue Exchange. We're going to be doing a meal for the firehouse in Gordonsville. But also I want to I learned there's 15 people who are involved directly in her rescue, from the 911 operator to the EMTs, fire department, the helicopter crew. I want to make those people feel very special. So I do ask if anyone's interested in helping me to gift them. We have a lot of things going on, but we do need a lot of more. I want to really be meaningful. Like, one of the things that I can do is, like, I'm getting a special mug done, and each of those 15, for as long as they live, they'll come to Patch. Their first beer will be always complimentary on that cup, so they can, celebrate with their family and friends. But it's just, I want to start by them, because they were the first ones who had a hand on saving Charlie's life. So I'm very, very thankful for them. All I have is gratitude. I'm very thankful for everything. You guys are incredible. Thank you, Jerry, for giving me the opportunity to tell Charlie's story. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Always. Chef Craig Hartman says, I love you guys so very much. He's watching as we speak. My friend, we will always be praying for you. Your strength is inspiring. The connection and your love story is motivating and inspiring for all of us. We wish those adorable boys and intelligent boys the best, and for Mom to get home, and safe travels to Richmond today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate everybody. God bless you guys.
God bless you too. Bye, Andre. So that's today's show. Thank you for joining us, anywhere you may be watching the program. We will continue to pray for Andre and for Charlie and for his boys and his family. And we encourage you to share the GoFundMe link and have it go as far and wide across this world as possible. We thank God for this miracle. He certainly works in mysterious ways. And I think ways that we all ask, hey, what's going on? But it's that faith that offers the courage and the strength to see that questioning through till we get the answer of why. And I'm confident the answer of why will come sooner than later. And when it does, we'll know why. Social media, when used for the good, is an amazingly powerful tool. All the best to you, Charlie, and your family. Thank you for joining us today. Take care.